Hi guys, in this video we're going to run through how to cut a domestic key. So I'll just talk a little bit about this machine. This is the latest machine that's in all the Bunnings warehouse stores. It's an automatic machine, it's nice and easy to operate. We've got it sitting here in a Perspex cover, a Perspex case, sorry. And the idea of this is that it just offers the key cutting person a little bit more protection. Obviously when you're cutting a key, there's going to be small filings and that coming off, so you want to be doing it always with the lid down. Now some stores may not be able to fit this Perspex cover in, and if you don't have this Perspex cover in your store, then do make sure that you're always wearing your safety glasses. So we don't need those in this instance because we've got the cover here. Okay, so a domestic key. Now in this example what we're going to use is the test key. The test key sits in the cylinder here in the side of the Perspex cover, and it should always be here, and we'll talk a little bit about why, but it's a great key for a number of reasons to do some testing with and doing some training and practice with as well. So this key should always be sitting in there. So let's just in this instance say that this is the key that the customer has bought in and would like a copy of, and the LK1, which this is a very common, very popular key. Okay, so your customer has come in with this key. The first thing we need to do, of course, is select the right blank. So we go over to your key cutting board. Every store has this board here, and I'll just talk through how you can sort of quickly move to selection. Obviously there's normally keys hanging on here, but just for this purpose I've just got the key that we're going to cut. First two rows are automotive keys. So this is a domestic key. I've done a video for you on the cutting process for an automotive key, and it is slightly different, so I'd certainly encourage you to have a bit of a look at that as well. So here we go. So the first thing we do is that we go down to this Easy Key Length Guide, and this is that first bump there is called the shoulder of the key. So we line the shoulder of the key up there, and we see that the tip goes into the green in this example. So we know in this example, with the tip going into the green, that we select the key from this area here, this green area. So we don't have to bother about looking through any of the others. If the key tip was to, in this example as you see here, was to go into the blue, we'd know that we would only be selecting from the blue. So the next thing we do, we know it's in the green, is that we look at the key and we take a close look at it to see if there's any identifying marks or numbers on it. This one here, as I mentioned before, says LK1, a very common key. So we can go across here. It's obviously easy for me because I've got it sitting on the board. It's the only one, LK1. Underneath you'll see it's got another number there as well. So we take this off, LK1, we take a look at it. The head's the same, that's quite a good indicator. But very importantly, the length is the same, so we know that we're good there. The width is the other thing to check as well, and we can see that the width is the same. And the other thing importantly, profile. Now the profile of the key, if you have a close look there into the camera, you'll see it follows a bit of a line there on that front end, and that's called the profile. So you can see that they're the same there as well. So we know we've got the right blank. If you're running into any difficulty, and there are a lot of keys out there, this board covers the vast percentage of keys, and there's very few keys that you wouldn't be able to cut. Most of them are available on the board, but you may on occasion have a customer come in with a key that you're unable to find a blank for, but in most cases you'll be just fine. So if you're having some difficulty just identifying it the way I showed there, every store should have this. It's called a Ready Reckoner, and it's just a double-sided sheet with automotive and domestic keys on it. And it just gives you a little bit more information there with different key numbers from different manufacturers. So again, if you're looking at the key and it's got a number there that doesn't show up here, you can go to this sheet and you can have a check and have a look for more information there to find the right blank. So we've found our blank, so we can move over to the machine. Start the key cutting process. Now, first thing we do, the key blank always goes into the right hand side, and you know that, and you'll be able to remember that easily because there's the cutter, and obviously it's the blank that is getting cut. The other thing I'd just like to mention as well are these jaws. Now there's a number of different settings on them. you'll see they've both got to be the same on both sides, okay? So that's your standard, that one's your standard. So if you loosen these off here, these wing nuts here, you can pull it up and you can twist them around. You've got to bring both blocks up at the same time. You'll see that there's two separate parts there. Very, very easy to do. Now there's a number of different settings. That one says wide. So you would use wide for a key that is wider than this or deeper. The next setting there is narrow. So some keys are narrower than this. So that would be a good setting. That's standard. Now bulk of the keys that you'll be cutting in store will work just fine with that standard fitting there. And the X there is generally more so for automotive because of the channels that they have in the keys and because they're double-sided as well. So we've done a video on cutting automotive keys, and I'd certainly suggest you have a bit of a look at that as well and just go through that so you can see the slightly different process for cutting an automotive key. So we'll go to standard because that's the one that generally works pretty well, and it's a pretty standard width key as well. We've got to make sure that they're both sitting on standard there. We put this one in. Now we slide it in and you'll see it goes in there and then it's going to hit. It hits on that shoulder. So you push it along there and you just give it a turn up like that. Now the other very important thing is that the key sits horizontally there and flush. If it's slightly up, example exaggerated, but if it's not horizontal, it's going to be a problem. So you wouldn't want to put it in like that. So if you keep your finger on top, you'll find it easy just to keep it nice and horizontal. Goes in the shoulder there, and you just give it a good crank up there with your hands. Hold of the customer's key. The first thing that we'll do though, we'll bring down this key guide. You'll see that this slides across here nice and easily. If this doesn't, if your machine doesn't slide easily like this, it just needs a little bit of grease there. And we're going to do a video, we have a video there on sort of general sort of maintenance as well that talks a little bit about that, and it's going to make that nice and easy for you. So what we do next is we put this guide down, and we want that guide just to sit there nicely on that shoulder. So you can see that that's sitting in there nicely on that shoulder. We take the customer's key, pop it on this side, and again we take it right across there so it's hitting the guide on the shoulder there as well. Keep your finger on top to keep it nice and horizontal, and you'll see if you look closely there that it's nice and tight there, and it's nice and tight there as well. Tighten those up there like that. Lift up the guide, Perspex cover there. Underneath we've got an on-off switch. Flicker on. Next thing we need to do here, and this is important, a little bit of pressure down on this lever, and then pull it out. Not simple to do, but the important part is don't let it fly up, because if it flicks up, it's on a spring, it's going to whack into the cutter and cause some damage to the cutter. So we let it go up there, nice and gentle. Beautiful. Okay, so you can hear just a slight tickle there where the cutter's hitting the key, and that's ideal. You know that the machine is nicely aligned. We'll talk about alignment in another video as well, but that's just ready to go. That's spot on. So now we go down to this auto start key. You need to keep your finger on that button for about 3 seconds for it to engage. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit longer. You'll know that the process is finished when the wheel there, you can see now, has stopped turning. So just let it run right through the whole process. The wheel's still turning, so we'll just wait until it's finished. Right, so you can see the machine makes a slightly different sound as well. That's a good indicator. The wheel's stopped turning, the job is done. So we'll flip the machine off, shut the cover, reverse the process, so we pull that out, gently push that down, that sits there like that. Take that one out, take the customer's key out, or the test key in this example. Now there's one more thing to do. We need to, through the key cutting process, you get some slight sort of sharp edges there. So it just makes it a lot easier to use in the lock if they're smoothed off. So we'll just, it's a buffing wheel there, so we're just going to run the key across there just to take off those sharp edges. Now I'm going to do that with the Perspex cover on, so you put your safety glasses on. Remember too, and just be very conscious that when you turn the machine on, the buffer's turning but the cutting wheel's also turning. So keep well away from that. Give that a nice run across there. it off. Take my glasses off there. You put the lid down because that process is fixed. So in this example, and again great for some training and just practice in store as well, we'll test it in the test cylinder here, and you'll see it turns nice and easily. So we know that we've done the right job there for that one. Just one other thing I'll show you as well. Before you do hand it over, obviously if you can test it in this case you wouldn't need to, but if you're giving it to the customer, always a good idea just to take a bit of a look, make sure that it looks right to you. A lot of this checking is visual, and you will sometimes pick up, oh boy, that doesn't look quite right, just do another key. Put that one down. The other one I'd like to mention, the other thing as well, is that every store will have, or should have, the key cutting manual. So please, if you don't, just let us know and we'll get one to you. And it runs through everything that we've just talked about here now, how to select the key, the different things to go through there, different parts of the key cutting machine, and then it runs through, you know, the process as well and how to use the vice jaw, etc. So there we go, you can hand the key over to your customer and job well done.